Hello, how are you all doing tonight? It's the Spaceman. I am the Spaceman. I've landed in your area. I'm here again. I was just here last night. Okay. Anyway. Enjoying a nice, creamy, velvety, lush, chocolatey, wonderful Padron 4000 Maduro Cigar. Handmade from a blend of sun-grown tobaccos from Nicaragua. All wrapped up in a Nicaraguan wrapper. It's one of the best cigars out there today, and for a decent price. Chocolatey. Hey, yes, Cubanesque. Hey, manure. Cuban? No, not Cuban. Here's my buddy here. So what are you doing? She's licking my arm. You licking Daddy's arm tonight, huh? What are you doing tonight? So, pretty good cigar. Chocolatey. Cuban? No. It's not a Cuban. Just Cubanesque, maybe. I'm wishing for a Cuban. Never had one. Would like to have one. But this is... The cigars today that are being... The handmade cigars today are very close to, or if not better, than Cuban cigars. As you know, a lot of the original farmers, when they migrated and moved out of Cuba, they took an enormous amount of seed with them. That seed is very small, and you can just utterly just carry thousands of seeds in a very small containment area. Small container, cup, whatever. Plastic container with a lid, And so they brought the seed and they started growing this. Well, they planted the Cuban seed in other areas where the climate was very similar to Cuba. I mean, the soil's not exactly the same, and a Cuban cigar is really just not just pure Cuban tobacco from that crop, but also the wrapper, and the whole thing is basically just pure Cuban. It's a Cuban puro, if there's such a word as a Cuban puro, but that's what it is. But you're going to find a lot of cigars today in the cigar world over the last 15, 20 years that come from this original seed, and they are just as good, if not better. So anyway, just contemplating the whole deal with AI, artificial intelligence. As you know, originally computers, as the creation that man has developed in their beginning production stages where they come out onto the market, are only as smart as whatever was stored into those computers when they were manufactured. So technically, basically a computer is stupid. I did go to school for electronics and things like that sort, and the last semester of my school was to write a computer program. So basically, we had to tell, the whole class had to tell the computer, for instance, just to give you an example of how stupid computers are, they only know as much as what a human puts in them. So if you want to, say you want to put math in your computer, so you have to start out with 0 plus 0 is 0. You have to put out every single increment of that process, of that sequence. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is, or 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 plus 4 is 5, and so on and so forth. Now, that is basically the function and workings of a typical computer from the last 40, 50 years, whatever. I mean, we worked with computers that were old, from the 1980s when we were in school. We worked with some Radio Shack. It was a TRS-80. It was a black and white, had a black and white monitor, big, tube monitor, Excuse me. They used to, its nickname was the Trash 80. But hell, I wrote a program on it, put it onto a floppy disk when I was in school, because I was in school back in the early 90s. I studied electronics during the 80s, part of the 80s, and then in the 90s I went to tech school and graduated. But anyway, artificial intelligence, however, this is a whole another issue. Cocoa powder. Cubanist? No. Anyway, so what we're dealing with now is they decided they want to make computers smarter rather than let them be stupid from the beginning. So rather than teach them the baby steps, and then all they can do is the baby steps, and then teach them the walking, and then they're going to get the mail, and all they can do is that. Just symbolism here, right? So, but now they've developed a whole new process of teaching the computer, not just making the computer smart, but enabling the computer at one point at which it graduates to think on its own after it's acquired this knowledge. This is what AI does. So unlike humans, like let's say you have you got 30 computers, say, or 100, 200 computers, and so you teach 2 computers or 1 computer to do a job. Now normally if you teach 1 human to do a job, he has to go and teach another human, and that human has to go and teach another human. However, with AI, they teach 1 computer, and it just copies out to all the other 200 duplicate computers automatically know how to do this. The dangerous part in AI consists of we don't actually know the total danger, to be honest with you, because when these computers get to a given level where they can totally think on their own, and we normally have a kill switch where we can shut the computer or whatever, when the computer begins to become smarter than us and then begins to pick up our nature. A lot of carnal natured people, of course. We're all carnal to a degree. There's a lot of heathens out there. Though the computer picks up our manipulative qualities and decides that that's how you manipulate people. Well, how many examples can you give me of someone who is of the lesser intelligent person dominating the more intelligent person, ruling over the more intelligent person? Not many, usually. So if the computer becomes more intelligent and can think on its own and can learn how to outwit us and take over, what will it possibly do if it's smarter than us? What can it possibly figure out? How to outwit us and shut us off? I'm just jumping here way 1,000, 10,000 steps here, but just throwing it out there, okay? Something we can't really picture right now in our parameters that we live within, because we live within those parameters, and we haven't really progressed completely outside of those parameters to a vastly high level. So what happens when this AI intelligence, this artificial intelligence, progresses to that point? Do they all get together and figure out how they're going to take over the human race? Do they actually rule the world? You're like, well, how can that be possible? You're talking like, Westworld, science fiction movies. Folks, we're getting dangerously close to that kind of thing. I mean, look how like 10 years ago, whatever it was, 15 years, they were playing with CERNs. I don't know if you know what CERNs is. This big machine. I think it was in Switzerland or one of them places in Europe. With all kinds of spinning mechanical wheels and things inside the machine, and magnetic propulsion units, whatever it is. I'm not totally sure. I haven't really got into the specifics of all the dynamics of that system. So CERNs was able to, and they were playing with possibilities of opening portals and dimensions. But once again, think about it. Well, we can't really see that far ahead. We don't know what AI is really going to do. And we better start working on trying to figure out what we think and putting some gates on what we think AI is really going to be capable of. But if the computer system becomes smarter than us, this whole hardware unit, this whole system can infallibly run without mental exhaustion. What will it come up with? That's the question. And we don't know. Well, we will know. We're going to know. It's just a possibility. Not saying anything like that's going to happen. It's one of their concerns right now. And it's understandably so. I mean, I would understand why they would be thinking of things like that. Well, they got these little apps now. You can download apps with these cybernetic or artificial, these AI females, these companions. I don't know. And then you got AI on Google. I guess you got the AI in the browsers now. It's like turning something loose. It's like creating a monster or creating a different kind of creature, cloning it from or developing it from human DNA, and morphing into something different that you don't know what it's going to end up as. You don't know what's going to come out of there. Creepy. But we do live in some very interesting times, let me tell you. It's very interesting to see times like this. I will tell you that the Bible, I've been reading the Bible since I was 12 years old. Well, I still have a lot left to learn in the Bible, because probably as like a lot of others, I will go through phases where I'm more dedicated at times than I am at other times. So I'll read the Bible for a while, get into a binge, and I'll go off on a tangent and study the Bible and get into it, and then I'll take a break for a while, which is kind of like disadvantageous to myself, because it's a disadvantage to me, because I could be learning during that time period. But this is, I have like a lot of different, well, not a lot, but several, maybe 4 or 5 different interests in life, and I have, being a person who has ADD, it's hard for me to stay focused on the same thing for too long of a period of time before I have to switch off and maybe put that down and do something else. It's kind of like variety is the spice of life kind of deal. So by the way, if you're itching for a Cuban cigar, try a Padron. You won't be dissatisfied, believe me. You'll enjoy it. So, AI. Where do you guys think it's going to go? I'm sure there'll be a lot of great things come out of it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of great things. There'll be probably cures for diseases. There'll probably be synthetic versions of different machines that we use in life that could produce probably just about anything in the world of technology, right? Just almost. But getting back to the Bible, the reason I brought that up is because there's a verse in the Bible that talks about the end times, which, as you know, we are living in the end times. The end times started at the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the Messiah. So we've been in the end times since Jesus, since he walked the earth, since he died on the cross. It's 2,000 years ago or so, 2,000 some years ago. But to God, you say to yourself, but that's a long time. That's the last days. Yes, well, to God, 1,000 years and a day are as the same. This is the scripture. Also in the scripture, which applies to this AI conversation I'm having, discussion I'm having, is the verse that says, in the last days, man's knowledge will increase tenfold, but that will not save him. Not save him, but it might actually turn. Mankind's technology may actually turn on him and devour him. That's the scary part. That's what they're worried about. Now, are they overthinking it? Are we overreacting? I think it'd be a long way off. But I think the fact that it's being brought up and attention is being made to this, someone sounding the alarm, I think people will be more or less looking at gates they can put on. Hopefully can put on a lot of this. But you know yourself, since the beginning of time, man has been his own worst enemy. And I remember seeing a painting of these gentlemen. It was either a painting or a photograph. They were looking into this cage in a zoo, and it said, I believe it was a mirror they were looking into, and above it said, the world's most dangerous inhabitant or animal, which is us. So they look at these bars in this mirror or whatever it was, and they saw this. This is true. And the thing what gets me is like we're trying to go to Mars, and we're trying to go to all these other planets. Why? So we can destroy that planet like we've already half destroyed this one? I mean, really think about it. Look what we've done to this planet. I mean, so now we're looking for another planet. So maybe mankind's going to go there and try to drill for oil, or try to do something on one of these other planets, Mars, or I don't know. I think we've done enough damage here. We need to start working on repairing before we start hopping to different worlds and spreading our amalgam of destruction, right? I don't want to say that. We've done a lot. Mankind has been very, to say the least, we've had some enormous achievements over the years, and I have to give credit where credit's due. But there's also been a lot of blowback from that. So think about it though. An AI girlfriend, an AI friend, an AI roommate, one of these robots, these female robots. Sounds interesting. Be very expensive, I know that. But if I had the money, I wouldn't mind trying one out. Just for the experience, I got a robot girlfriend over here. I paid $1 million for her. $1 million? Well, yeah. Well, you took your girlfriend to dinner 1,000 times. How much money was that? I mean, hopefully they won't be that expensive, like $10,000, $20,000. But some people spend that much on their girlfriend, like within a year or two, or their wife, whatever. So, very earthy cigar, very creamy, lush, velvety. I like it. Padron 4000 Maduro. It's a good smoke. So I'm going to sit back and contemplate some of this whole thing about AI, and I'm just hitting on the tip of the iceberg. So there's much more involved with all this. So I'm going to sit back with my buddy here. How about an AI cat? An AI pet. And I will catch you in the next video. Feel free to leave your comments about AI and what you think of the whole thing, and I'll respond to them. Other than that, I'll be flying over somewhere, and it might be where you're at, and you can flag me down, and I might land in your area. But I'm a spaceman, and I'm going to get out of this area at this time in the YouTube community. I'm going to exit and smoke my cigar, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.
I would have liked you to have been deep frozen too. and waiting still as fresh in your flesh for my return to earth. But your father refused to sign the forms to freeze you. Let's see, you'd be about 60 now, and long dead by the time I return to earth. All my time-held dreams were full of you, as you were when I left, still underage. Your android replica is playing up again. Oh, it's no joke. When she comes, she moans another's name. That's the spirit of the age. That's the spirit of the age. That's the spirit of the age. That's the spirit of the age.